Hello, everyone. George DeSantis here with the Look at the Market for the week ending Friday, January 8th, 2021. First of all, let me wish everyone a happy new year and most of all, good health during the new year. Let's avoid this damn virus or these viruses that are plaguing us and keep in good health so that we can enjoy our lives, even though there's a lot of confinement right now. But keep busy, challenge yourself. I challenge myself to do things that I don't normally do, to keep busy. Anyway, for those who are new, I do this once a week or so, and I need to bring up a disclaimer. So let me do that. The disclaimer simply informs you that I'm not a licensed professional investment advisor. I'm really a psychologist, and I do this for my own purposes. And it's shared as a YouTube video, and anyone can look at it and make of it what they will. Um, so what we'll do is we will review, as usual, the general market using the S&P and even the Nasdaq at times, looking at some charts, and we'll try to also look at some individual stocks. So let's begin, as usual, with a weekly chart of the S&P 500. Here's a weekly chart that we usually use. Um, on this weekly chart, we have plotted a 4 exponential moving average. We have a 9 exponential moving average, a 30 weighted, front weighted moving average, and this is a 50 moving average, 50 period. In this case, we're looking at a weekly chart. So this would be a 4 week, a 9 week, etc. Um, we use candlesticks for those who are new because it seems to be more descriptive of what's going on. And if you're interested in learning more about candlesticks, there's lots of stuff on the internet um, about them. So what we have here, and I like to start by looking at the relationship between the moving averages. You can see that the 4 moving average is still above the 9, 9 above 30, and 30 above 50. And when these moving averages are above each other like that, with the shorter period one above the 9, the next uh, in terms of length, and the next in terms of length, like 4, 9, 30, 50, we have an uptrend. Some people even say this is like the alligator's mouth. The alligator is opening its mouth, and we need to buy stocks. We need to feed it by buying stocks. Okay, so that's insofar as moving averages goes. We have an uptrend. In addition to that, this indicator here, what is called a parabolic stop and reverse indicator, remains below the most recent bar, which says to us that we ought not to consider this a downtrend at all. If it were a downtrend, the parabolic would move above the bar as it did over here. Okay, so we still have an uptrend insofar as the moving averages and parabolic are concerned. And right now we can see that the price bar or the candle is bumping up against 2 standard deviations. And some occasionally when we bump, most of the time when we bump up against the 2 standard deviation line, we tend to consolidate as we did here. Sometimes even pull back. Okay, so you can see that that is the case. So given that we're so close to 2 standard deviations here, I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a pullback. Um, the other thing we might note here is that we have somewhat of what is called a hanging man in candlestick terms. The shadow here is about twice the size of this body, and so that's called a hanging man. It's bearish, but it's confirmed if we get a red bar, if we get a down day here on Monday. We don't have that yet, so we still have to go with the bullish scenario. Now, insofar as the moving average convergence divergence histogram is concerned, we still have that bearish divergence of the histogram, and I'll explain just briefly for the new ones, for new people. The S&P made a high MACD histogram made a high. S&P pulled back here, histogram pulled back below zero, you could see it turn red. Then the S&P rallied to a new high, but so far the histogram can only rally to this height, which is lower than this. So this is called a bearish divergence of the MACD histogram. Now, this histogram we usually use for buy signals. We usually use this one for sell signals. And I'm taking the position, I hope I'm right, I've prove out right. I'm taking a position that yes, we should never ignore this bearish divergence of on the weekly chart. However, when I look at Jerry Appel's work, the guy who designed, the psychologist who designed this, who created this indicator, he says that you should use this MACD histogram for sell signals, as we did over here, as you had to do here. But so what I'm doing is I'm hanging tight, and if I see a sell signal here, that would be my confirmation that we do have a downtrend. We switched to a downtrend, and we should be selling stocks and protecting our assets. Okay. Right now, we still have a strong uptrend on the weekly chart. So let's turn to a daily chart of the S&P 500. So if we do the usual, we'll see that the 4 EMA is above and trending up, above the 9 EMA, exponential moving average, and that's above the 30 weighted moving average. And the alligator is opening its mouth. The thing that we should note here too is that although we had a lot of volatility here after that big drop in November, not a big drop, but a pullback in November, we did see the volatility expanding, and so you can see that the prices started increasing here, and volatility decreased here. So this is what is called a squeeze, a Bollinger Band squeeze. For those who are new, these dotted lines are 2 standard deviation and 3 standard deviation Bollinger Bands. It's simply a measure of standard deviation and a plot of it, okay? Now, we have here a squeeze, meaning the volatility reduced significantly here. I believe the VIX as a measure of volatility went all the way down to like about 18 or 20, but now it's expanding again. So when you come out of a squeeze, the squeeze, it doesn't tell us whether price will go up or down, but we can see here that price is beginning to ride that between that 2 and 3 standard deviation line, and we should see some of that continue. Now, I neglected to mention on the weekly chart that I did a Fibonacci extension on that chart and found that the 1618 target, Fibonacci target, is 4118. So it will be up here, 41, way up here, okay? 4118. So that's the target. Now, the parabolic on the daily chart, a little more volatile. You could see it reflects the volatility switching between being above and below, but the parabolic is currently below the most recent bar. We do have a hanging man. You see another one here, but that's because we came pretty close to this 3 standard deviation line. I suspect that we could get a little bit of a pullback, let's say on Monday, but then we go higher from there, because there are other pieces of evidence we look at to come to that conclusion. If we go down to MACD histogram on the daily chart, we see that we got a buy signal on the daily chart here. Okay, we turned green, and this histogram increased here. Now, even on the histogram we take sell signals from, we did get a buy signal, but this is the one we pay attention to on buy signals. Here's Jake Bernstein's moving average channel that I became fond of. I think it gives us a great deal of information. So on the weekly chart, you could see that we buy when price falls to the lower band here. This is the 8-week. This would be the 8-week moving average of the lows, and we buy here and we sell if two complete bars drop below the 8-week moving average of the lows, and we need to get, that would be a setup for sell signal, right? And in that case, we would need this trigger, this accumulation distribution line, to drop below its 57 week moving average. We don't have any indication of that here. So folks, I have confidence that this market's going to go higher, with some pullback or correction in the short term. So let's do what we usually do, and that is take a look at these stock charts. This first one we usually look at is Apple, and you can see that I had a huge position in Apple. For me anyway, it was huge. And I rode it all the way up here. It became overbought. I sold somewhere here. And then when it came back down into this buy zone, I bought it again. So I'm riding it back up. Apple also, if we go to Stock Spotter, I could show you that Apple now is now considered a swing trade, swing setups. See, Apple now has a swing setup. You can see here that it made a cycle low, and they're predicting a nice move up here for Apple. Okay, let's go back to the stock charts. Here's our chart we looked at before. This is a new high, new low index. This is a daily chart, but you can see that it bounced off of that 50-day moving average. These are the difference between how stocks making new highs and new lows. And it's, according to Alex Elder, he believes it's one of the best leading indicators for the market. Getting a little hiccups here. Excuse me. So that's looking pretty bullish. Here's a chart with the impulse indicator when bars are painted green, red, and blue. When a bar is painted green, it's censoring you. It's a censoring system. It's saying you don't dare go short because you might get hurt. So don't short this market, which is another way of saying be bullish. Okay. Here's another chart that we've looked at very often, and that is the percentage of stocks of this S&P 100 above their 200-day moving average. You can see it's way up here, okay? Since we made this low in October here, it's way up here. That's bullish. So let's turn to Shaken Analytics. And what I did was I made up a list of stocks that, for one reason or another, I thought we should keep an eye on. In most cases, these stocks are oversold. And it's, when I say oversold, I mean that this indicator, the oversold, overbought indicator, is all the way down here, in most cases below this 30 line here, this 30% line, okay? And sometimes it's below there and it's ticking up. That's when we find it's most opportunistic to buy. So and this is the checklist. It's preferable to see more green on the screen here. We want to know that it's bullish or very bullish, the power gauge rating. We want to know the relative strength is strong, industry is strong, overbought, oversold is either is optimal or neutral, long-term trend strong, money flow strong. So let's take a look at these. This is Ally Financial. Ally Financial it's pretty oversold, pretty much oversold. And you can see it has a nice uptrend here. It's rated very bullish. Now, I don't own all of these stocks, obviously. I am just going through the list with you, and you can do your research with, further research on them and see which ones appeal to you. But I own a few, and I'll point them out to you when I come to those that I own, okay? The next one is BIO, which is Biorad Laboratories, and that's oversold and ticking up in neutral territory now. So this thing could go higher. It's very bullish. WCLD is a Wisdom Tree Cloud ETF. It's not a stock, it's an ETF. You can see the oversold indicator here, and you can see it's oversold here, and it's ticking up. So if we it's an ETF, so you don't get the checklist. Here's another ETF. I have all three of the ARK ETFs because they're all oversold at this time. So that's ARKG, the genomic. This is ARKK, which I own. I own 3 of them. I'll point them out. And you can see that it's also oversold. GNRC is Generac Holdings. That's that generator manufacturer. It's part of the whole genre of the solar energy movement, okay? INTU, that's Intuit, and it was up on Friday. If you see a green percentage line here, these green percentages mean they were up on Friday, okay? The last day of trading. All right, so that's almost oversold, and it's bullish. I prefer to own the bullish ones, right? I own this IPO. It's an IPO of it's an ETF of IPOs, and instead of me trying to find an IPO that I think might make a lot of money eventually, I just buy the ETF and hold it. Okay, it's done very well. It was at $22 back here at the end of March, and now it's at what, $66, $67. I don't think you could beat that very much. ONLN is another ETF. It's an ETF. It's oversold. You can see the oversold indicator here, and it's a ProShares ETF of online sellers like Etsy and all these other ones. Okay, Synopsys I used to own, and I'll look to buy it again because it's oversold. Money flow is very strong, and I love this here. It's bullish. Okay, and it's bumping off that 21-day average. You can see the oversold signal here. So I'm looking to buy Synopsys again. Williams-Sonoma, you can see it was oversold and is ticking up, coming off of the long-term and the 21-day average. Now, I prefer to buy the bullish and very bullish ones, okay? And hold them until they're overbought. So, but I'll show you some other ones that are rated neutral, neutral plus, neutral, neutral minus. It doesn't mean you can't buy them. I prefer to buy the ones that are, and I do own some of them like Apple and Microsoft. So let's take a look. Adobe, Adobe is becoming oversold. It's below the 200-day average, though. It's been in a long trading range here. So I don't own it. I own Microsoft, but it's also in a long trading range. But now it's oversold, and I'm anticipating that it might just show a little more life. Apple, I bought and sold. I bought it somewhere around here when it was oversold or almost oversold. Sold it around here, bought it again. You know, I'm trading Apple, of course, but you can see it's oversold. Align Technology, it's oversold even though it's way up here in price, and you can see that the money flow is very strong. So this is a really strong company. You know, a checklist we could take a look. It's except for these 2 neutral ratings is green, right? ARKW is another one of those ARK. Again, it's oversold, so they're all oversold, the ARK ETFs. I don't know this one. This seems to be the Nielsen Holdings, and it's also oversold. I don't own it, but the personality change here, you see from red here to green, so it's interesting. It's neutral. This is oversold, but I don't like the fact that it's dropped below the 200-day average. Pinterest, this one here, if you look at the checklist, you can see it's optimal in terms of was oversold and ticking up. So you can see that it's rated here optimal in terms of oversold, overbought. Now I did buy Peloton again. It was oversold, and it was coming off the 21-day average. This stock has been one of the best performers on the market this year, last year, and it's oversold. So I'm looking to buy it coming off the 21-day average. APPS, Digital Turbine. CRISPR, I've traded off and on. Right now I don't own it, but you can see it's coming off the oversold region here. I did buy CrowdStrike because it became oversold and it's very strong money flow, was bouncing off the 21-day average. DraftKings, I traded, but it's oversold again. I bought and sold it. FVRR, it's oversold. Look at PayPal. PayPal, It's now oversold, so I like that. And Square is also like that, but I don't see Square here. This one has been very volatile in some ways, but it's oversold even though it's had a nice run up here. Okay, folks. I think we ran over the 15 minutes, but I believe I made some changes to this recording system so that I could go over. We'll see if that's true again. Last week we were able to do that. Listen, have a good week and make some money. Make some walking around money. Okay? Bye-bye.